Hi guys, I'm glad to be back together with you this week. It is a cold and windy and foggy day. Rain's been coming down, and so it's fun to snuggle up and create something together. This week, I want to talk about somebody that I saw on TV, and maybe you saw her too. Here's her picture. Tell me if she looks familiar to you. Maybe you saw her on TV. Maybe your teacher has talked about her. Maybe your parents have talked about her. But look at her picture and tell me if you know who she is. Did you say Amanda Gorman? That's her name. And she hasn't been very famous. She was a regular kid who grew up in Los Angeles. She was raised by her mom, but she loved words. And she loves to write. And she loves the art of poetry. So much so that she went to college at Harvard University, which is a very challenging school to get into. She just graduated from Harvard, and she is a poet. That means that she uses her words for art. Well, this very special young lady who is a poet got to read one of her amazingly beautiful works of art at the inauguration. That means at the ceremony where our new president, Joe Biden, was put into office. I just loved her poem. It was beautifully written and beautifully spoken, and there was one line in particular that caught my attention. And this week's art project is going to be all about that piece of her poem. Here's what she said. She said, "For there is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it. If only we're brave enough to be it." Amanda knew that inside of each of us is light. There's something so good and beautiful and pure and bright inside of you, inside of me, inside of all of us. And sometimes it takes a little bit of bravery to shine that light, to bring joy to a sad person, to bring love to somebody who feels lonely. We can all be the light. And she says we need to be brave enough to be light in this world. And so today, I thought we're going to create a piece of art that reminds us to have courage to be the light. So we are going to create glowing light bulbs. We're going to use our oil pastels, our pencils, and our watercolors to create this oil pastel watercolor resist painting. And as we do, I think you're going to find it pretty neat that our art materials do the same thing that light does to darkness. We'll talk about it as we create. So go grab your supplies and let's get creating together. All right, the first thing we're going to do is draw our light bulb. You can see here that drawing a light bulb isn't too hard. It's mostly just a circle with two lines and a little top. But where we place our light bulb is kind of important to leave room for the rest of our drawing. So we're going to use our fist and our arm as just a quick guide for where we're going to draw our light bulb. Put our fist down right in the middle of your paper, and super, super, super lightly, we're going to trace around that. I'm barely letting my pencil touch the paper. That is not pretty, is it? But it doesn't matter because it gives us just the perfect kind of, well, I say perfect kind of shape and size for our light bulb. You may not even be able to see that very well, and that's okay. But when you do that, that gives us the shape to come back with a darker mark and round out that part, then bring it in. It's kind of like drawing a hot air balloon. And then our light bulb has the base, and we're going to make some really shallow smiles. A little curved line there, it's just barely a smile. And then we're gonna come right next to that, swoop down, around and back up, down, around and back up. We'll do one more time, down, around and back up. It's kind of like we're making the letter U, but it's flat and a little bit squared. We're going to take the cord, and right now we're drawing our light bulb right side up. In a minute, we're gonna flip our paper over so that it's hanging from the ceiling. So we're gonna draw that cord, just a straight line, zoop, to the edge of our page. Now, what makes the light bulb glow are the filaments or the wires inside. See these little guys right here? I'm having a hard time getting my paper there. There we go. Those little loop-de-loops, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We're gonna do 4 little loop-de-loops, but we're gonna do it with our light bulb right side up still. Let's do it first with our finger to do an invisible drawing, just so we get the feel of what it's gonna feel like. We'll start at the bottom. We're gonna come up and go loop, 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 and down. Okay, let's do that again. Up, loop, 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 and down. So we're gonna do 4 little loops. They're gonna start here. We're gonna come all the way up, loop, 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 and down. And now we have a perfectly functional light bulb. We're gonna flip our paper over so that the light bulb is hanging from the ceiling. And now we wanna write our words. Remember what Amanda Gorman said? She said, be the light. I'm having a hard time with my camera today. I'm gonna scoot that. Sorry for that leg there, but it's just gonna do that for right now. Along the bottom here, we're gonna write be the light. And you can write this any way you want. If you love to write in cursive, you could write in beautiful cursive across the bottom, be the light. If you are just learning your letters, I will tell you the letters to write and we will write it together slowly. If you like to do bubble letters or block letters, whatever you want, you can write this any way you want. You can write it curved around your light bulb. You could write be the light. You can put it any way you want. But I'm going to show the simplest version because it still looks awesome even when it's simple. I'm going to do it with my finger first. B, E, and I'll leave a space. T, H, E. Then I'm going to go down to the next line. L, I, G, H, T. And I'm going to write in all capital letters because I just want to. So go ahead, I'm going to write mine in just all caps, and you can do yours however you want. There we go. All right, we are finished with our pencils for this project, so go ahead and put your pencil away. Actually, if you want to, I'm noticing that my squiggly fist marks are still hanging out of my light bulb, so I'm gonna just go ahead and erase some of those so I have a nice clean line around my light bulb. You might want to do the same, and in fact, I'm gonna round out my light bulb down here just a teeny bit. Remember, nothing has to be perfect in the art room, but I just want that to be a little bit different. Okay, now I'm finished with my pencil. I think you're probably finished with yours. Let's go ahead and get our oil pastels out. You're going to notice on our project today that we used oil pastel resist, and that means we're going to first color our picture with oil pastels, and then we're going to paint watercolor all over the top of it. And that word resist means that the oil pastels are going to push away the paint in the same way that light pushes away the darkness. Darkness can never overcome light. So we're going to start off with our oil pastels, and we're going to work from light to dark. That means that we're going to do the white in our light bulb first, the white around our letters first, then we're going to move to a light blue and a yellow, and then at the very end, we'll add the black on top. And the reason we do that is if we went ahead and traced our pencil drawing with that black and then tried to add all the other colors, the black would blend with them and we'd get kind of a yucky gray. It wouldn't look as bright. So grab your white oil pastel. Mine has broken because I've been using it a lot lately, and that's fine. If you have broken pieces, you could use either one. I'm going to use the bigger one for this right now. And I am going to color my light bulb. And with this project and with these paints, woo, camera almost fell over for Mrs. Burke. We want to put down the oil pastel pretty heavy. We don't want to just do little light strokes like this. So I'm going to trace the outside of my light bulb, and I'm pressing harder than I usually do all around the inside of my light bulb. Then I'm going to start a little spiral, and I'm going to go around and around and around and around, and I'm going to try to just cover all of the inside of my light bulb with white oil pastel. I'm doing that round and round and round and round just because it's kind of fun to color in the same shape that you're working on. Once you get your light bulb, and see how that kind of smeared around in there? That is no big deal. We're going to cover over some of that, and so it won't make a difference at all. After I'm done coloring the inside of my light bulb, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to color it again, just to make sure that we've really got a thick coat of oil pastel down. We really want this light bulb to shine, shine, shine. Okay, now we're going to trace our letters in white. However you drew yours, go ahead and just write right on top of your pencil. And notice I'm kind of pressing hard and I'm kind of going out. My white is going beyond my pencil marks. Kind of making hard, thick strokes, going back and forth on top of each pencil line as I trace over my letters. All right. Last thing we're going to do with our white right now is just make 3 little squiggly shine marks on the metal portion of our light bulb where it screws into the socket. You can't see it very well, but that will make our metal look a little bit shiny once we add the gray on either side. Let's move to light blue. Oftentimes white glass glows blue, sometimes it glows yellow. We're going to do a little bit of both. I'm going to take the blue and I'm going to just put a little bit of it around the edges of my light bulb. Not necessarily around the whole thing, but I just added a little bit of that. Maybe another little tiny stroke right there. And that lets our light bulb look a little bit 3D. I'm going to come down here to my letters and I'm going to add a layer of blue around the white. You can do this any way you want. You can outline it like this, or you can make little scribbly glow marks around your letters like that. I'm going to go ahead and do mine while you do yours. now I'm going to take my white again, and I'm just going to go right over the top of all of that wiggle, just to kind of blend the white and the blue together. Just gives it a little bit of a softer glow. And I don't have to do the exact same wiggles. See, I'm just kind of blending them together. After I'm done doing this, I'm going to do the same thing with the yellow that I did with the blue. First, I'm going to just outline around my light bulb to give that a good glow. Good bit of glow with my yellow. And then take white and go on top of the yellow and outside of the yellow a little bit. You can't see it very well, but I'm going outside of the yellow just a little bit. And then I'm going to take my yellow and I'm going to go outside of my letters. Here I'm going to try to keep the yellow away from the blue just a little bit so that I don't turn it into green, but if they turn into green, it's no big deal. So I'm going around with my yellow. This time I decided not to do the scribbles, the squiggles. I just decided that I'm gonna do some yellow around the blue, and then even I'm gonna try to stick a little bit of yellow inside of places, and then I'm gonna take my white again. And I'm pressing hard when I use this white because I like the glow that it makes. And see how I'm just kind of going back over my white, over my yellow. It's just going to make it glow even better when we paint the watercolor over the top. I'm going to double check that I've got enough here. Now you can do one more. Oops, I think I need a little bit more yellow around that eye. Okay, you can do even some more sparkle if you want. As I was playing around with this project on this one, I added some big shiny marks like that. You could do that. Or on this one, I made my white halo pretty big. It's really up to you. I think I'm gonna leave mine just like this. We just have a couple more steps before we pull out our watercolors. The next thing we wanna do is color in the part of our light bulb where it screws into the base. But as Mrs. Burke is looking for my oil pastels, I don't know where I put my gray one. Oh, here it is. Silly me. Okay, I'm going to use gray just because that's kind of what a regular light bulb would look like. And I'm just coloring that in. And remember how we put that white little bit of shine? I'm leaving that alone. Okay, two more things. Grab your yellow again, and we're going to trace over our loop-de-loops with our yellow. Doesn't have to be perfect, just to show that they're glowing. And then we're going to trace over all of our pencil marks with black oil pastel. So starting at the cord, we're going to trace all of our pencil lines here. We're going to trace the light bulb. We're going to trace the filament. And we're going to trace the actual pencil marks that we made for our letters. I'm going to trace mine while you trace yours. So we are ready for our light to shine in the darkness. So open up your watercolors and you will notice that we have several dark colors. We have black, we have purple, we have a dark blue, and we have a dark green. You can use any combination of those. You can use just black, you can use just one of those dark colors. It's really up to you. We just want to have a dark background so our light can shine through. You'll take your watercolor brush and you can wet your paper first. Sometimes that makes the process go just a little bit faster. You can even wet one section at a time. I'm just putting a little bit of water on my paper. I think for this one, I'm gonna go ahead and start with the purple. On the one that I showed you before, I did in black. But we're just gonna cover over our whole paper with as much dark paint as we can. Now watch what happens when I get around my light bulb here. Remember, this is watercolor resist. How about I put my water over here so you don't have to look at my big old arm. This is watercolor resist, so we want to take that paint and put it right on top of our oil pastel to get that resist look. So watch what happens when I paint right on top of my light bulb here. It pushes away. I'm going to go ahead and get some black. I think the black works better. It pushes away the paint. It resists it in the same way that if you're in a dark room and you light a tiny little candle, maybe your power went out this week and maybe you had to light a candle and that one little candle made the darkness go away. The same thing happens with our lives. When we do something good and light, when we bring joy and hope and kindness to somebody, we drive out the darkness. So even as we're putting this dark paint all over everything, even though they're little tiny dots, they really don't stick. And you'll see that your paint, your light is going to shine, shine, shine through that darkness. You can apply with this watercolor. Unfortunately, these watercolors are not as strong as some that we've used in the past. They don't have what we call as much pigment in them. So it might take you a couple of layers of color to really get it as dark as we want. But look at how all of our letters are glowing through, even though we're covering right over them with paint. Those oil pastels push away the darkness in the same way that light pushes away the dark. So go ahead and add a couple of layers of dark watercolor to your paper, and I'm going to add a little bit more to mine. You can even, after your painting dries, you can even come back. So this painting has been dry for quite a while. I can come back and I can add light even on top of the darkness. Maybe I want my letters to glow a little bit more. You can use your oil pastels and create even a little bit more glow if you want to. Grab a little bit of yellow. Let's just make that light shine. All sorts of sparkle. I hope you had fun making that light shine in the darkness today. But beyond that, I hope you can think of ways to let your light shine, even in the dark places in your life. Maybe you have a friend who is sad. You can give them a call. Tell them how much you love them. Maybe you have a mom who is tired. Maybe you could shine a little bit of light by helping her do the dishes tonight. I don't know, maybe you need someone to shine the light in your darkness. I'd sure love for you to talk with your teachers about ways that you can let light shine in the dark places around you. I sure love being with you, and I sure love drawing together even when we're apart.